wise man once said, "Envy is the art of counting the other fellow's blessings instead of your own." Envy makes a subtle entrance into our life through feelings of resentment. We look at other people and what they're doing and what they own and the success that they're achieving, and we think, that's not fair. I deserve that. We want the same success, possession, or experience. Christian author and speaker Liz Curtis Higgs talks of a time when envy started to creep into her ministry. She says, "Soon I found myself dealing with a new set of feelings. How come she's moving faster ahead than I am, Lord? Why did they honor her instead of me? I wasn't envious, of course, merely competitive." The awful truth revealed itself to Liz one day when she received an announcement from a colleague who had been blessed with an opportunity that she was convinced she should have had. Liz tossed the letter across the room in an angry huff. "It is not fair, Lord." The Lord's response to Liz was swift. "Have I called you to succeed or to surrender, Liz?" Envy can show its ugly face in many areas of our life, even in our ministries at church. Listen to some of the harm that envy can cause in our lives. It damages our self-esteem. Think about it. The only way we can really experience envy is if we're looking at other people's lives. When we start to look at their lives, we might start to think how much better they are than us. And feelings of inferiority can start to creep into our lives. This inferiority leads to low self-esteem. More importantly, these self-esteem issues cause us to take our eyes off of God and turn them on ourselves. We become so wrapped up in who we are and our inadequacies that we forget to become wrapped up in who God is. Envy makes us discontent. In Philippians 4:11 through 13, Paul says to us, "I am not saying this because I am in need, for I have learned to be content whatever the circumstances. I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to want to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. I can do all this through Him who gives me strength." God's provisions in our lives are always sufficient for our unique needs. Therefore, we can always be content. And even if we wrestle with doubt that God's provisions for us are adequate, Paul reminds us here that we can do all things through Him who gives us strength. Envy can keep us from celebrating the good things happening in other people's lives, even the good work that God is doing in their lives. We see this played out in the life of King Saul in 1 Samuel 18. After David slayed the giant Goliath, the Bible says that Saul kept David close by his side. Whatever Saul gave David to do, David experienced great success doing it. It wasn't long until the people of Israel began to recognize this and started singing David's praises. Suddenly, Saul wasn't so keen on all of David's successes. Saul started to envy David. Envy causes us to miss the goodness of God. It causes us to focus on God's blessings in other lives to the point where we miss the ways He's blessing us. John 10:10 promises us that Jesus has come that we may have life and have it to the full. And 1 Corinthians 9:8 says that God is able to bless you abundantly, so that at all things, at all times, having all that you need, you will abound in every good work. Who are we to question the gracious provisions of God in our lives? Who are we to think that we deserve the blessings that God has sovereignly chosen to bestow on other people? God's ways and plans are so much higher than ours, and He will move and bless in ways that allow His plans to come to pass. So what do you do if envy has taken hold in your life? Admit it to God and to yourself. Then be thankful. Don't be so worried about what God is doing in others' lives that you miss opportunities to be grateful for His blessings in your life. Thank God for everything in your life, because every good and perfect gift comes down from the Father of heavenly lights. Anticipate that feelings of envy will creep into your life. Be prepared for circumstances that you know you will be tempted to want what others have. This might be when you spend time with certain people, when you shop at certain stores, when you visit certain social media sites or drive through certain neighborhoods. If it's possible to avoid these situations, then do so. If the situation is unavoidable, then go into it thanking and praising God for all of His blessings in your life. Finally, make God the focus of your life and not the things of this world. Do as Colossians 3:2 tells us, and set your mind on things above, not on earthly things. If you want to get a hold of envy, refocus on following hard after God. Be more concerned about God's plans for your life than what is going on in other people's lives. As with all the deadly sins, you don't need to be a victim of envy. You can choose to have a grateful heart and to be content.